Now we're going to talk about what do you do with your profile. So you've set up your profile, you've got all your settings right, you've got a great photo, banner, headline, all that stuff. Now what do you do? Because see, this is where a lot of people just stop, okay? You cannot set it and forget it on LinkedIn, which is what most people do. They put up a profile and then they never go back to LinkedIn again. And it's just this ghost dangling out there in the ether. What you need to do is set it and feed it. Content, 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 okay? So we're going to talk about what kind of content can you and should you put on your LinkedIn profile, and how do you do it. So here are the types of LinkedIn posts. Career updates and anniversaries, you see these all the time, right? That's just sort of a normal thing to see.
And they'll come up with notifications on other people's feeds.
Yeah, they come up as notifications. So LinkedIn is following people's careers in terms of the years when they started their jobs, okay? So you'll see, oh, Bill's been at Suncor for 10 years or whatever. Special achievements and accomplishments. Again, this is going to show up in your feed as a notification, and it always invites you to say something nice to this person. And it's always good for you to respond if you know the person and can genuinely say, congratulations, you know, all the best, that kind of thing. Newsjacks. Has anyone ever heard this phrase before? Newsjacks. So, in a former life and incarnation, I was a journalist. What a newsjack is when you take a news story and essentially you leapfrog off of that news story into your business. So maybe it's something you've seen on Financial Post or in Forbes magazine or in, you know, the Globe and Mail, and it's a news story that relates to your industry in some way. Well, then you post that news article and you comment on it. So you're showing your expertise, you're giving your take on it, you're demonstrating that you're an authority figure on your industry. Maybe you take issue with something in that article. Maybe you add to that article by saying, well, what the author of this article left out was blah, blah, blah. But the point is, you're using a news story from an actual well-known news organization, and you're jumping off that and using it to gain credibility. That's called newsjacking, okay?
If I may interject for a second, people are always asking me, well, what should I post about? Write this down in your booklets, please. Google News is a great resource. Does Google News, great resource to type in information about what's happening in your industry, what's trending, and what people are actually searching for on Google within your industry to figure out what to talk about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Comments. Obviously, if you've joined a bunch of groups and you have a bunch of connections, you're going to see other people's posts. So the way to get engagement and raise your own profile is if you comment on other people's posts. Because the more active you are on LinkedIn, the more the platform is going to reward you with rankings and in the search engine. So
and also pushing your posts and your information to your first connections. It's almost like Facebook, where you almost got to pay like paid for advertising. The more people who are engaging and commenting and liking and sharing your post, the higher up it'll go on LinkedIn search algorithm. And actually, if you go to, I'll try to find it afterwards. But if you go to groups, I actually created an engagement pod. Anybody heard of what's a pod, like an Instagram pod? Ever heard that term ever? It's a place you can go onto, like a group you can go onto, where you can post your content onto, and then other people will share, like, and comment on your information. That way, it'll like work with a Google LinkedIn algorithm and push your content to the very, very top. So I'll show you my post or my group afterwards. You can join it afterwards. I created one just for this.
So there's a bunch of us in this room that belong to BNI. I just want you to raise your hand if you're a BNIer. See, there's a bunch of us here. So the motto for BNI, which stands for Business Networking International, is Giver's Gain. Well, think of Giver's Gain in relation to LinkedIn. The more you give in terms of commenting, posting, being active, the more you will gain. Okay? You're going to comment on other people's posts. You're going to like and share other people's posts. Why? Because they're going to do that back. You're going to create more engagement on the platform for yourself, and that's going to benefit you. What to post? Post an article of interest to you, explain why it's of interest to you, start a conversation. Maybe you end your post and your comment with a question, and then other people will say, oh, well, then they'll answer your question. It's a way to get engagement. Go ahead.
I find people really don't like to get engaged on LinkedIn like they do on the other social platforms.
They do, the people that don't get it.
Yeah, but I've personally seen on people on LinkedIn who are getting 3,000 likes, 4,000 or 5,000 comments on their posts. So that's a mindset.
Okay.
If you post good content, and once again, don't just post sales stuff. Like, I'm selling this, I'm having this workshop. I post my secrets of my profession and the things I like, the stuff from the workshop here. I post stuff on LinkedIn all the time. People want to be getting valuable content. So make sure the content and the articles you're posting isn't just about buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. It's also stuff of real value. And once again, the biggest thing nowadays is video. Get on your cameras, get on your phones, get on your thing and create videos for yourself on LinkedIn. You'll see some great people on LinkedIn doing this. And the engagement they're getting is absolutely ridiculous. I know one lady, look up Bridget Hassian. I can't remember her name. I'll have a slide for it later on. But she has 2.3 million followers on LinkedIn. And when she posts articles or comments on LinkedIn, the engagement is always huge. Always huge.
So you're right, there's a mentality, though, that people don't treat it as a platform in which you engage. But when you think about it, you are engaging high-powered decision makers in the business world. Why would you not want to engage these people if it can lead to leads, which we'll talk about this afternoon? When we hand things over to Alan here and he talks about lead generation, you'll understand why it's important to engage. So even if you don't see anybody else doing it, do it anyways for yourself. Yes?
I don't know. So I've got 18,000 followers on LinkedIn. I do a minimum of 10 value-add sales tip posts a week. I do a sales tip video every week. The engagement is good, but what I find is people go, oh yeah, I follow you all the time, but they don't, I get lots of stuff like that. I've got people, oh, that kind of thing, but I don't get a ton of engagement. People on LinkedIn are much more reserved than they are on other social media platforms.
That's true. It's sort of a professional demeanor with which they approach. And engagement and being professional are not mutually exclusive ideas, but people don't understand how to engage as a professional. And you keep your professional hat on and you can comment on someone's article or answer a question or repost it or whatever. So it's really about being persistent and continuing to just stay at it, and also changing up the nature of the content that you're posting to see if that increases your engagement.
Yeah. Look at other people on LinkedIn. Go to your feed, and when you see that posts that are getting engagement, what are they posting about? What's the style of the video they're posting? Is it funny? Is it informative? Is it lighthearted? Also, I've seen engagement or links, articles and posts and videos on LinkedIn where they're talking about really, really deep stuff. Someone died in their family, drug addiction, homelessness, bullying in the workplace. That lady I talked about, Bridget Hassian, she's always talking about, she's an HR expert, and she's always talking about, stories. What stories do you have to tell people that are great, that are really heartfelt? They maybe haven't shared with anybody else at all. Be vulnerable on LinkedIn. Trust me, you'll get the engagement then.
And stories are very powerful. I mean, why are we all hooked on Netflix? Who here is hooked on Netflix?
Or YouTube. How many of you have gone to a YouTube rabbit hole and gone down videos and watched like a video after video of things that are interesting to them? Think about it, reverse engineer it in your mind. What made you watch that? What was the style of the video or the content you saw in there that really hooked you? And then reverse engineer that, analyze it, figure out what they were talking about, and what was your why for watching it or reading it.
So post your own original blog or article, always with a catchy headline and a graphic or a photo to go with it. Write it to position yourself as a thought leader in your field. Now, an article is different than a post, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. An article is more formal than a post, and it's longer than a post, okay? It should be 350 words or more. It can be 1,000 words. You can have a really long LinkedIn post. And by the way, long LinkedIn posts do very well. Because it's a more intentional readership. These are not the people that are sitting, in a hair salon waiting for their hair appointment reading this. These are intentional business professionals that want to read good content. So if it's well written and it's a great topic.
And it solves problems also.
And it solves problems.
So I believe a LinkedIn post can be up to 1,200 characters. I'm not sure the number on article.
On the articles, I don't know what the limit is, but it's quite a lot. You can have 1,500. You can have 1,500 words if you want. Always include a link to your website and/or a call to action at the end of your own article in particular, because they're long, and that should lead to a call to action at the end of a long post.
Yeah, and a call to action can be more than just contact me. Call to action can be, what do you think about this? What's your personal opinion on this? Ask a question, do a quiz, do a survey, right? Another great thing I've seen people do on LinkedIn when they're contacting other people as far as a lead generation strategy, reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm writing a new article and post on LinkedIn. I would love to have your feedback on this topic. That gets the conversation going.
That's a great idea, actually, to engage somebody to respond to you. So the people that study LinkedIn, i.e. people that work at LinkedIn and it's their job to study this, know when the best times are to post on LinkedIn. Now, just a quick question. Is anybody here using a social media scheduling platform like Hootsuite or Buffer, or there's other ones as well? Great. So this is perfect. When you know this, then you can schedule your posts to fit when they're going to get the most activity. And this happens to be the little time windows to write down, it's in your book, for posting on LinkedIn. Now, what I find interesting about this is that it's different for different days. And I don't know how they measure this, but they know this. This is all done by data collection. And they know these are the best times to post on LinkedIn. What I find really interesting is that Monday is not on this list. For whatever reason, all these busy professionals, they're going to staff meetings or whatever on Mondays. That's not a good day to get them.
That's because shit happens on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
And taking care of putting out fires usually on Mondays.
That's right. That's, pardon me? Mountain time. Sure.
How significant is that? Many of our audiences are global. Like, that's translated from Mountain, that's great for local, but does it really matter if a bunch of my folks are in London?
No, it doesn't, because obviously they're in a different time zone. So that's fine. Don't worry about it if you're posting internationally. But if you're very concerned about this market, then you follow those time zones. Yeah. Now, how often should I post? Everybody has a different answer for this. 1 article per week and 2 to 3 posts per week. And I'll get to the distinction in a second. HubSpot recommends at least twice a week, no more than 5 times a week. CoSchedule recommends once a day up to 5 weeks. So you see, there's just like, who do you believe, right? It's everyone has an opinion. LinkedIn themselves says, do 1 post a day. Because, they want you there on their platform all the time, right? So what I say is, phooey, just post when you can and post in those times, okay? Do as much as you can. So articles and activities, what you post is going to show up in the articles and activities section of your profile. If you haven't found that yet or seen that, we'll talk about that in the Q&A section. So here you can see these are some things that I have posted, and it will show your activity as you post things.
Including comments.
Sorry?
Including comments.
And through the comments.
Including comments.
Including comments,
yeah.
Yes. So how to post on LinkedIn. Again, you're in your own profile. It says start a post. Under My Network, see the button at the top of the bar. The one that says My Network.
Home page.
Sorry?
The home page.
Sorry, the home page.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought that's because the arrow's there.
Yeah.
It says start a post, but right underneath it, it says write an article on LinkedIn. So right away you know they're two different things, right? One is a post and one is an article. A post is just that simple little thing that you post, like you post on Facebook. You just enter in there. You can add a photograph, a video, or a document to a post if you want. It lets you do that. Right underneath that, though.
And when you're posting on LinkedIn and you're doing a video, your video must be 10 minutes or less. So if you have a video, the thing will read it and figure out how long it is. If it's 10 minutes or more than 10 minutes, it won't be able to post it. But cut your videos down.
So when you go to write an article on LinkedIn, it's a different process because it's a longer piece of work. This is what you get. This is the screen you get if you're going to write an article. And on this screen, it allows you to post your picture up there. And you go on LinkedIn and find out what the size of picture is that you need, because it's very specific for a LinkedIn article. And then you create your headline, and then you create your content. And on the top bar, you see there very limited ability to create content, to design it the way you want. There's only a few fonts, only a few sizes of fonts. So it's very limited in what it will let you bold, it will let you do italics, but not a lot else. So it's just very simple, basic formatting.
But I believe also you can write your article in Microsoft Word, and then with all the italics and sizing you want, and then post it on there, and it will carry over some of that information.
Yeah, it will retain
Yeah,
some.
go ahead.
So am I better off to write an article and upload it as a PDF?
No.
If you want to retain very specific formatting, yes. But if you want to post the article as an article on your blog or your feed, then you use this format because it will. Yeah, you have to. It takes a little bit of patience to get to learn how to do this, but it's worth it.
Yeah, go ahead.
To just blog there, so is it better to post a link to your blog and send it to your blog, or actually post it as a LinkedIn article?
I think LinkedIn article.
Post it as a LinkedIn article.
Tim, you can talk about this for SEO purposes. You want to be able to make sure that the content on LinkedIn can be read by the spiders, the Google spiders and things, to be able to read the content as far as seeing the key phrases. So if you only post a PDF on LinkedIn, they can't read a PDF. They can only read actual true content on there. Say again, sorry?
So if you like share an article or
Yeah, but you're sharing someone else's article. Right. So it's not your stuff. You're not your stuff. Your own content you're creating. You're sharing someone else's article. So that's good for them. It doesn't do nothing for you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't help your SEO. This is why creating original content is such a big deal, because in terms of SEO, it's the way that you improve your SEO, is with original
You can't
content.
get through there.
What should I post?
You can't
So
go through
again,
there.
we're just going to beat this drum. Video, video, video. If you have videos. Things to post about problems that your target market is facing now and how to face those problems. So for instance, I'm looking at Jeff McGinn, a mortgage broker. If the federal government changes the rules on mortgages, which they've done recently, right, a couple of times, perfect thing to blog about and put an article on LinkedIn to say, okay, because this new rule, this new legislation, this is how it's going to impact your mortgage. You need to think about these things. You need to react to it this way. Here's my advice, blah, 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 blah. Information and education about your type of business. Graphics get attention, and especially images of people. If you can get really good pictures of people. Post about general topics for business, such as an article about balancing business and family life. It doesn't matter what your profession is. You can talk about things outside your industry, but that are business related in general, right? Posts that I see that get the most engagement are heartfelt stories, overcoming triumphs in your business life and personal life, things that inspire people. Like we want good news. Like the news is just full of bad news, right? It's depressing. Be someone who's creating positive stories and victories, breakthroughs, wonderful, happy stories. They actually get a decent amount of engagement because people are so hungry for good news, okay?
For the example with Jeff writing, just looking for accountants.
Yeah.
For
For sure. Yeah, you definitely could.
Absolutely. Yeah, put hashtags in your articles because, yeah, now LinkedIn is, you can use hashtags in that platform and it will still successfully get you seen through hashtags.
And title of the article, I'm looking for accountants for work for my company, right? I have a job open for business, job opening, job position. Here's accountants. Here's what I'm looking for exactly. At the very end, putting in your contact information and a good picture.
So in your workbook on page 24, there's space for you to brainstorm some ideas for topics for your posts or articles on LinkedIn. Remember, this is how you can demonstrate your authority and knowledge in the industry. What interests you? What concerns you? Take 15 minutes to brainstorm and share your ideas with a few people at your table. And you might be surprised at the ideas other people might give you about your industry. Have you thought of such and such? And maybe you haven't. So please make use of the people at your table because there could be some real gems of ideas there for you.
So take a few minutes, like say 2 or 3 minutes to actually do your ideas and then go around the table and tell people what you do in your business and have them give you articles what you could possibly write about.